What's going on, everybody? Today we got another episode of 3 players every team should keep and 3 players every team should sell. And today we've got Arsenal. Now, Arsenal, to me, need a bit of an overhaul, but there are some players there who I would try my best to obviously keep around, and then there are players who cannot be a part of the rebuild. So we're going to get into that today with Arsenal. And of course, these are players who have been normally linked with moves away and stuff like that. We're not going to pick on someone like Martinelli, who's had a really good year, very young, just came in. Nobody's genuinely thinking they can pry him away from Arsenal, so he's not one of those players on the list. So we're going to start with 3 players Arsenal should keep. Number 1, and this one seems obvious, Aubameyang. He's one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League at the moment. Has been for 2 or 3 years now. He's Arsenal's best player, I think, by a little bit. And he's got 1 year left on his contract. It seems that his contract is coming along nicely. I'm not sure if it's gone all the way through yet. I don't think it has, but it is imperative that Arsenal keep Aubameyang around. Lacazette, his future may be up in the air. It seems a lot of talks that he may be moving on, those things. But Aubameyang is, 1, the better striker. 2, I think he's also forced to play out of position because they want to kind of get Lacazette into the side, and Aubameyang plays a little bit out left sometimes, which to me is a little bit of a waste. But Aubameyang, the goal scorer, someone who needs to stay around. They just got to pay him whatever they got to pay him, and keep him around. Number 2, Ceballos. This one is a little bit different because he's not actually an Arsenal player. He's obviously been in there on loan, but toward the end of the season he was having some really good games, great run of form toward the end of the year, and he became a really important part of the Arsenal side toward the end of the year. Someone, obviously he is on loan, but another player I'd convince, even if he were only to come back for another year, someone I'd try and convince to come back. If you can find a way to get a loan to buy, or just buy him outright and he's comfortable coming back. I think he's not necessarily 100% comfortable being bought outright. I think he still thinks he has a little bit of a part to play at Real Madrid, but he seems open to coming back for another year. I would make that happen, or at least attempt to make that happen, and then see if you convince him to stay permanently at the club from there on out. And the 3rd player they should try and keep, Torreira. This one is so weird to me because I think Torreira is Arsenal's one of their best midfielders, and he hasn't been particularly playing a ton the last year or so. His career there has kind of shot down a little bit, and it seems like he's not really a huge part of the plan anymore. But the midfield in general is a weak spot for me. So keeping around any talent you do have seems to be something I would do at least. I wouldn't move him on just yet. If you run him another year and he doesn't, hit the heights that you want him to hit, then maybe you move him on. But for the moment, that's someone I would try and keep around. So those are the 3 players I'd try and keep out of the current squad. 3 players I'd sell. This seems a little bit easier. Sokratis to start. An older player, a defender. They really need to redo the entire defense, I feel. Sokratis is one of them. Slow, not very good, and I feel like most of the defenders there have been living on borrowed time. I would personally get someone else in. Saliba is coming back. David Luiz is coming back. I'd get another defender in, and then you maybe could keep another one, perhaps. Sokratis, I think, would fetch more than Mustafi would, even though I'd try and move Mustafi on as well. It's a very difficult situation back there, and it'll take a little bit to probably overhaul, but to start, I think Sokratis is the one who should go now. Another one, Bellerin. It just seems that his decline continues. Hasn't been playing particularly great. Obviously very pacey and pretty good going forward. A pretty big liability at the back for a team who needs some defensive structure. There's plenty of interest. I would move him on, get a decent amount of money in, try and bring in another right back who's a little bit more defensively sound. It seems that Arteta, especially when he plays the bigger clubs, likes to sit back and, spring counters. That seems to me like Bellerin doesn't suit that as much, not because he's, not quick or can't really play on the break, but defensively you need to be concentrating at all times, and Bellerin doesn't seem to do that very much. I would swap him out with another right back, move him on. He's bound to bring in a decent amount of money. I think that works for both parties. And number 3, Mesut Ozil. I cannot believe he's still here. I can't believe Arsenal have kept him here. I can't believe they haven't found some sort of agreement like United just did with Sanchez. I would find any way to get him out of the club. He is not the player obviously he once was. He doesn't fit a team that isn't holding on to the ball for 60-70% of the game, and he is obviously a humongous distraction. I mean, all the time Arteta's asked about Ozil. Emery was asked about Ozil all the time. When you see a lot of, fan pages, if you want to call them fan pages, or, other Arsenal-related networks or whatever it may be, they talk about him all the time because it's a huge deal. He's just a ton of money sitting around, collecting a paycheck and not doing anything. It was kind of like Rodwell was at Sunderland. Huge paycheck, just sitting around, not doing anything. It's a big discussion point because it's a huge problem, and Ozil has become that. He needs to move on for his own career. Arsenal needs to move him on financially and just in general for morale around the club, and it's just one of those players who needs to get out of the club, guys. But that's going to be it. Those are 3 players Arsenal should keep, 3 they should sell. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below, but for now, that's it. So peace.